So we're still working with parallel and perpendicular equations, but today we're actually going to write an equation. So you want to remember that parallel lines have equal slopes. So we're going to start out with just our two examples for parallel lines. And I'm actually going to start with number 2 because number 2 has a few more steps. When I'm working with this, the first thing I want to do is to turn my equation into y equals. So I'm going to start on number 2. I'm going to take this equation and turn it into y equals. So I need to subtract x from both sides. So negative 3y equals a negative x plus 9. Then divide by negative 3. So I get y equals negative divided by a negative gives me a positive. Positive 1/3 x. 9 divided by negative 3 is a negative 3. I took my equation, I turned it into y equals. Then I need to decide my slope. Decide your slope. On here, my slope is 1/3. I need a parallel line, so I need slopes that are equal. So my new slope is also going to be 1/3. Then I'm going to plug slope and my point into point slope form, which is that y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. If you need scratch paper, absolutely get it. I'm going to try to cram it in here that we don't have to worry about it. So I have a point, and I have my slope. So I'm going to plug in y minus y1, which is negative 1, equals m, my slope, which is 1/3, times x minus x1. I know that subtracting a negative number is like saying plus. So I'm going to distribute y plus 1 equals 1/3 x. 1/3 times negative 3 is minus 1. I need to move my y1 number, so I'm going to subtract 1, do the opposite. Y equals 1/3 x minus 2. If my equation is already in y equals, I can skip over that first step. I'm going to decide my slope. Right here, my slope is negative 4. I need it to be parallel, so I want my new slope to also be negative 4. And I'm going to use that point and that slope to plug it into the point slope form and go ahead and solve it. Go ahead and pause the video, do number 1. When you're done with number 1, resume that video. My steps for doing perpendicular lines are the exact same steps as parallel lines. It's just working with that slope. So I'm going to take my equation and turn it into y equals. So I'm going to subtract 5x. So I get 3y equals negative 5x minus 21. Divide by 3. So y equals negative 5/3 x minus 7. When I'm working with this, it is huge for perpendicular equations. I need to flip my slope, and I need to change its sign. So negative 5 over 3 is going to turn into a positive 3 over 5. I'm going to flip that, take that fraction, flip it upside down. If it starts out as negative, it's going to end as a positive. And then my last step is the same. Plug it into the point slope form. I'm going to use this number, my flipped slope, and this point. So y minus y1, which is 1, equals my negative reciprocal slope, which is 3/5, times x minus x1, which is a negative 5. So I'm going to do the same thing. Subtracting a negative number is like saying plus y minus 1 equals 3/5 x 3/5 times, I'm sorry, (3/5) times 5 is going to be plus 3. I'm going to add 1 on both sides. So y equals 3/5 x plus 4. This equation is already in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to take 2 over 1. I'm going to flip it, change my sign. I'm going to use this slope, this point slope. Sorry, this slope, this point. Plug it into point slope. Go ahead and finish out number 3. When you finish, you are going to go on to the back. The top 4 are parallel, which is using the same slope. The bottom 4 are perpendicular, where we are going to flip slope and change the sign. Let's get busy, y'all.